Thank you for joining our workshop, Meet the Entrepreneur. Now, let me start with introducing myself. Who am I? My name is Neelam Ali. I studied criminal justice with psychology in the University of Birmingham in England. That's right, where I was born and raised. I've been residing in Bahrain for the past 12 years. So Bahrain is like my second home. I absolutely love the country and the people. Thank you for making me feel at home. My career has been in education. So I'm an education specialist, also a devoted mother to two beautiful children, my son who's 10 years old and my daughter who is 6, turning 16. So I am the CMO of TullabApp, the Chief Marketing Officer, and my responsibilities are marketing, networking, and PR. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I love boxing, and that's a secret. So let's move on. Now, before we start, I'd like to interact with you all. I'd like you to give me your feedback. I am not here to judge you to see if there's any right or wrong answers. There are no right and wrong answers. I want you to interact. Tell me what you understand. I want to hear from you. So can someone from the audience read the word in green? Can somebody from the audience read out the word in green? And I apologize if I can't give everybody the opportunity, but I'd like to hear from you.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes, entrepreneur. So thank you very much, Haura. What is an entrepreneur, Haura? What words would describe an entrepreneur? Who is an entrepreneur? What makes an entrepreneur, Haura? Can you give me some light? Can you shed some light on this word?
A person who sets up a business or businesses or take on financial risk and hope of profit.
Brilliant. That's right. Fantastic. Thank you, Haura.
Hello. I think an entrepreneur is a creative person who introduces and implements new business ideas into the markets.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Haura and Sarah. So let's move on to the characteristics of an entrepreneur. Now here, I'm going to be very brave, okay? And I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to try speaking a bit of Arabic, the shakhsiyah of an entrepreneur. So my Arabic is not good at all, okay? But let's bear with me. The shakhsiyah of an entrepreneur, the characteristics of an entrepreneur. What makes an entrepreneur? Well, it all starts with an idea. Someone who is creative, self-driven, confident, has a vision, believes in themselves, motivated, okay, and confident. Someone who's business-minded, like you and Haura mentioned, like Sarah and Haura mentioned. It's an entrepreneur is someone who creates a business bearing most of the risks and rewards, is an innovator, a source of new ideas, goods and services of the business. Right? A business savvy is someone who manages everything in their business. Can anybody tell me, what do I mean when I say they're always on? Okay, it's ability to market and network. But you're right, a characteristic of an entrepreneur is someone who also has those skills. The ability to learn. Let me explain about the ability to learn. My biggest question, does an entrepreneur have an age limit? Does an entrepreneur have an age limit? Who can be an entrepreneur? Can I be an entrepreneur at the age of 34? Can you be entrepreneurs as students? Can your parents, can your moms and dads be entrepreneurs, or your youngest siblings be entrepreneurs who are still at high school or school? Well, let's look at some examples of entrepreneurs. Okay, the youngest, Ryan Kaji, a 7-year-old boy who is the highest paid YouTube star. 7 years old, 7 years old. Let's meet Mr. Yasser Abdul Aziz, the founder and CEO, a Bahraini of Ma'alib company. Now, again, forgive me for my Arabic. Bill Gates, you all know the rest. So there is no age limit. There's no age limit. Anybody, you know. Okay, let's go back to the top slide. Okay, let's look at the vocabulary that I used earlier on. The shakhsiyah of an entrepreneur, the characteristics of an entrepreneur. If from the audience, anybody feels that these words, these powerful vocabularies describe them, then you are the future entrepreneur. You are a future entrepreneur sitting right there, right now. If these words describe your personality, then you can possibly be an entrepreneur. There is no age limit. It has no race, no color. Now, let's look at this man. Does anybody know who he is? Okay, let me give you some really interesting facts about him. Do you think he was sitting on a pedestal and he was fed with a golden spoon and his net worth became 40.1 billion just like that? No. He began his career as an English teacher. His started salary was $15 per month, which is roughly like 7 dinars or 6 dinars a month. He was rejected from university exam twice. He didn't know about the internet until the age of 31. He was rejected from Harvard 10 times. And today we have this man, the founder of Alibaba, who is net worth 40.1 billion. He was 62, so you're not far off. Ray Kroc was 52 and Asa Candler was 41. Now let's look a bit about Colonel Sanders' story. Was he born a millionaire, a billionaire? No. He was a regular boy. At the age of 5, his father died. At the age of 16, he quit school. I don't suggest that. I don't suggest anybody to quit school, but these are facts about who he was. At the age of 17, he had already lost 4 jobs. He lost 4 jobs. At the age of 18, he got married and then he was divorced. Between the age of 18 and 22, he was a failed railroad conductor. He joined the army and guess what? He failed at that too. He then applied to law school and he was rejected. Now, his chicken was rejected. Can anybody guess how many times his chicken was rejected before it was bought? Before the first time anybody tried his chicken, how many times it was rejected? He was rejected, not 20, not 100. That's right, 1,009 times before his first chicken was bought. Now, at the age of 62, but don't you find it remarkable how his journey started at the age of 62? Because he didn't give up. He kept going. He was persistent. Now, wow, look at these beautiful faces, familiar faces. Can anyone tell me if they recognize any faces on the screen? Why were they failures? And I'll tell you why. Let's look at Einstein. The man at the top, in the top row, the second one in the top row, Einstein, okay, with the funny hair. He did not speak until the age of 4. He was expelled from school, taken out of school, thrown out of school. See as how you want. He was expelled from school and his teachers described him as mentally slow. He was called and labeled mentally slow. Now that man in today's society is still remembered as the most intelligent man to ever have, that mankind came across. He is known as the most intelligent man in today's day. So look at Oprah. She had a rough and abusive childhood. She was a regular girl at home. She was fired from her job as a reporter because apparently she was labeled as unfit, but that didn't stop her. Henry Ford was a failure at 3 businesses. 3 businesses. He failed 3 times, but he didn't give up. He was persistent before he finally succeeded with Ford Motor at the age of 53. So my point is persistency and consistency and believing in your own vision will help you pull through. Now, we went through the theory. Let's come into the practical thing, okay? Let's start with the TullabApp. Our journey, what we have experienced, regular people. I'm regular. I'm a regular mom, you know, who has a regular job, living a regular life, like most of us, okay? My partners are regular, lovely people. We're not being fed with a golden spoon. We're hardworking. We have ideas and we've come together. So Tullab, students, it's an app created for students. It helps empower students. It's here to create a digital community, enabling you to connect, build communities, and gain more knowledge. Now, I want you to understand this properly. And without introducing my special guest, I'd like him to come in and explain it in Arabic.
السلام عليكم. طلاب اب تطبيق من الطلاب للطلاب. نسعى من خلاله توفير منصة أكثر أمانا وخصوصية للطلاب، وينظم فيه ملفات المتنوعة العلمية وغير العلمية مع خططها اليومية والخطط الدراسية، مع إمكانية مشاركة المهارات والسكيلز اللي عند الطالب مع مجتمع الطلابي.
I'd like to introduce Azzam Esam, our youngest team member, an 11th standard Muharrak secondary school student, the youngest entrepreneur within our team. And I'd like to hand it back to him so he can talk to you a bit about himself.
Okay, good morning. I would like to share with the audience the journey of TullabApp. I am Azzam Esam, a 17 years old high school student who, just like you all, was affected by Corona, and everything become digital, and my life become difficult. I can't connect with my colleagues. I wasn't able to organize my file in a correct manner. I was poor, and I can't find like-minded people who share the same interest like me. So I discussed this with my father, Azzam Esam, and that's how TullabApp began.
Let's meet our team. Isam Al-Kuredi. He has over 18 years of experience, an MBA, BSc computer science student from University of Bahrain. He specializes in management and software app development. And then I'll move on to Mr. Ahmed Rashid, who has 18 years of experience in project management, business development and investment. He's also a co-founder and the chief growth officer. And then you have me, and I think you know too much about me, and you've just learned a little bit about Azzam. Now, how did we rocket this idea? How did we take this idea into action? How did we get the ball rolling? How did we make this move? Well, it's quite simple. We created a team. We had a clear vision. We met students from the private and the public sector and focused on how we could improve students' lives. We asked questions upon questions, and students amongst yourselves, they poured their hearts out to us, told us the problems they were facing, the challenges that they were facing in this era. We researched and worked day in and day out to create an app that will help improve students' lives, empower students, create something that will give you a better system to work with. So let's move on. What were the problems students were actually facing? Most students amongst yourselves told us they don't have a safe communication in the student community. They were facing difficulty in connecting with their peers, in organizing their educational materials. And something that I can relate to, privacy issues. Students mostly were forced to share their personal contacts. So we thought, how can we solve this problem? What can we do? These are the main problems that students are facing. How can we create an app that organizes their lives, their educational materials? It gives them the opportunity to record lessons, to share files in a safe environment, to connect with peers, to have like-minded groups. So that's when we created TullabApp, which is a simple community for students. We created tools to organize your files, your life, and groups that provide you with like-minded students. Now, how did we implement the idea? As regular people, how did we implement the idea? Yes, we believed in our vision, in our goal, but what did we do to take the next step? If you out there sitting amongst me right now feel that you have an idea and you have a vision and you have the capability of creating, being an entrepreneur, what could you do to implement this idea? What can you do to make the ball roll? Well, let me tell you what we did. We hired a development team from across the world. We worked with multiple teams online. We applied for an acceleration program, which I'd like to talk more about in the next slide, and I cannot wait to share the details with you. And we met Dr. Isra. We had the privilege to share our ideas with her, to tell her about our journey. And we're in awe, and we are so grateful that we were incubated in the University of Bahrain, in the heart of Bahrain. Now, let me add on here something very important. Tullab app is available on iOS and the Android. Okay, so you can download the app. Let's talk about the acceleration program. What is an acceleration program? We applied for a program that would help give us mentorship, would help guide us, would help our startup to kick off, to give it the boost that it needed. So we applied to Bahrain FinTech Bay that was sponsored by the US Department. And from 150 teams, we, amongst 2 other teams, were the top 3 winners. So we actually won. So we're very, very grateful for winning. And we're still in awe, and we're over the moon about winning. But we joined this program for it to help us in mentorship, in funds, to give it the boost that it needs, and for the ecosystem. So they guided us and they helped us think out of the box without judging us, without telling us that you're wrong, and your idea, it should be like this, and you're doing it the wrong way, without telling us what we're doing or what ways to improve. They would guide us, so we would think out of the box. So their mentorship really had some funds. We want some money from it, which helped give it the boost that it needed. So the acceleration program was a great way, but then we met other people, other ideas, people with more visions. It helped us build a network, okay, which is very, very important. Build relationships, see things from different perspectives, see a world that we hadn't seen before. Where, I met some wonderful entrepreneurs on this journey, and it really opened my eyes to things that I had never dreamt about. So it really helps kick you off in the right direction. You can even go to within your university and have a look for similar programs. I know there's a program called Fat6 Lab, Brink. They're quite similar to this. So if you're an entrepreneur with a new idea and you planned it and you have a vision, apply for these programs to support you. Right, now what were the challenges we faced? Because it wasn't an easy ride. No, it wasn't. We had a lot of hiccups. We had a lot of challenges that we had to face. Now, one of the biggest challenges was obviously financial strains. Okay, not everybody was committed. And when I say not everyone was committed, I'm not talking about my team members. No, they were brilliant. It was the people we were hiring. So imagine having to be patient, hiring someone and then they're not committed, and then they drop you right in the middle of things, and then starting all over again when you have a time scale, where you have put your business in a way where you need to finish certain things by certain times, and then starting all over again, and you don't have, so not everyone was committed. And some people were asking us for amounts that we couldn't offer, or we couldn't give. Language barrier was one of the biggest issues, but we were communicating with people across the world. Our team was global. So being able to communicate with them. So if I could speak in English with some of them, Azzam, English not being his prominent language, would face difficulties. And working solemnly online was definitely a challenge. So we needed consistency and passion, resilience to keep going. Now, this is us working in the office. It's just an inkling of what we were doing. Okay, so how do we overcome these challenges? It's simple, by not giving up, being resilient, finding loopholes, believing the sky is the limit, being persistent, teamwork. Teamwork is very, very important, okay? So it's great to have the leadership skills, but remember, if you don't know how to work within a team, you're failing yourself. So teamwork is very, very important. We distributed the work, we met deadlines, we were efficient, we followed up. So these are some of the ways we overcame those challenges as a new startup. Now, let's move on to the TullabApp, an app for students, a student app. What is the purpose? How are you students going to benefit from this app? It's going to help improve student communication, help strengthen your capabilities, better understanding experience, and enhance your engagement. So the TullabApp plans to discover students to help showcase you in Bahrain, showcase you around the GCSE global. It helps students in the process of internship programs, and it's coming soon, special offers and discounts around Bahrain.